Hey guys, Cam here from today'siphone.com, and I have this BlackBerry and I've been using it as my main device for I don't know how many days. I guess I'll figure it out by the time I'm gonna make the title. And there's some really good things about it and there's some really bad things about it, and I'll start with the good because that's always, I guess, how you should do these things. I'll tell you straight away, I absolutely love the user interface. I love the gestures that you use to control it. I love how you unlock the screen and slide out to the notification center place. Well, not notification center, that's on iOS. BlackBerry Hub. It's where all your notifications come through from Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and wherever other social networks you have. I also really like this grid layout. Obviously I'm used to that kind of thing. But everything is very simple, everything's very fluid, and when it comes to texting, it's got a really fantastic keyboard, and it's actually got to the point with typing a text message or an email, where actually I'd rather do it on the BlackBerry than on my iPhone because it's not as cramped, the keyboard isn't as hard to use. And before I had the Z10, I thought the iPhone's keyboard was fantastic. I never had any issues with it, and then as soon as I try and switch back now, I always find myself missing keys and misspelling words and typing things completely the wrong way. And that's because the Z10's keyboard is so great. It really is fantastic. I love the sure type stuff. I want to get onto the bad stuff, and this is stuff that really frustrates me and kind of... It's like, you've got to have an app store. I mean, that everyone knows that. Android's doing so well now because obviously the apps are getting much better, but also the hardware is fantastic. But with the BlackBerry Z10, there's nothing about the hardware that tells me that it's better than the iPhone. It's not got as good a camera, I don't think. It hasn't got as good a display. It's not as well built. So all it's relying on is BlackBerry 10, the user interface, and then you think, great, so the hardware's not fantastic, but it's okay. Surely they've got an app store that's full of great apps to make it worth leaving iPhone for, but they haven't. And it's really frustrating because the only great apps that are on there are ones that are already built into the phone, like Facebook and Twitter, and when I say great, they're not fantastic, they just do the job. Now, the main reason I'm frustrated is that I'll tell you, some of the apps that I use every day, stuff like there's audience analytics apps which I use for just checking how the site's doing on a daily basis, keeping up to tabs on how many people are viewing our site, things like that. It's one of those things where you think, oh, I need to check the site's figures, let me just go to my phone, and then you realise I can't because I haven't got an app to do it. All that they've got on the app world is a quick launcher to take me to Google Analytics, which looks awful on a phone. eBay I'm on quite regularly. There's PayPal that I use for sending payments, and also my mobile banking app by Barclays. BBC iPlayer is on there. I guess one of the other apps that really surprised me that it wasn't there was Spotify. It's something that loads and loads of people are using now, and it's on Android, it's on iOS, it's on Mac, it's on PC. You can get it. You can listen to it virtually from any device. And that's been difficult for me because I've stopped using iTunes. I don't use it anymore. I don't like having to pay to download albums and singles and stuff. I stream my music, so I use Spotify because it's the most widely available source of music, but I've not been able to use it on the BlackBerry. So what I've had to do instead is get some of my old iTunes music off my external hard drive, put it onto the phone, and I can only listen to that. I can't just listen to whatever I like anymore. So there are a lot of restrictions, and it's not the phone's fault. There's nothing wrong with the hardware. It's fine. It does its job perfectly well. It's just the App Store has got nothing in it, and even when you look in, and there are some updates, and it does get some interesting apps in that I have downloaded and used, like Neatly for Twitter is quite a nice Twitter application, but it still doesn't go anywhere near the usability and the functions that you get with Tweetbot for iPhone and iPad. The apps that I've downloaded, there's some cool ones, like obviously you can't get widgets on iOS, and I'll show you them now. I use AccuWeather for my weather, and there's this battery which tells me how much battery I've got left, and it gives me this little shortcut. It tells me my weather outside, and it tells me how much battery I've got left, which is really handy because there's no percentage up in the little battery icon in the top left hand corner. Now those I found really useful, but I downloaded downloaded them pretty much in the first week that I had this phone. Obviously I've only just started the challenge recently, but you'd expect that there would be loads more useful apps. I could go in there now and see that there's virtually nothing else new. The same stuff is featured at the top. I mean, there's some Disney games that are getting featured now. They're not games even, they're movies. So you can buy movies on there, which I don't want to do. I use Netflix, which you can't do on here either. And it's one of those frustrating things. You think that so many of the apps that we get used to, so many of the apps that we actually use every single day on iPhone, and it's not just me, it's apps that are really, really popular like Flipboard and eBay. I mean, stuff like that should just be on there. They should have developed it by now, but for some reason the developers haven't seen that they need to do it right now. So that has been a frustrating from a user point of view, but the way I use my iPhone generally anyway is to keep in touch with people. I like sending people messages, whether it be on Facebook or via email or Twitter or just as an SMS. So in that case, in actually those kind of communication tools, the BlackBerry's fantastic. It really is. The keyboard is mostly why it is so good at those things. The fact that it hasn't got an app store isn't going to mean I haven't got any apps at all. I've still got my iPad, which I use for most of my gaming. You'll notice that I didn't really mention any games in that list earlier, and that's because I don't game on my iPhone. I've got some on there, but if I had the choice of playing real racing on an iPad or playing it on my iPhone, I always go with the iPad. I play Simpsons Tapped Out on my iPad. I play Temple Run 2 on my iPad. I don't use my iPhone for gaming. So in terms of actually keeping touch, call quality, all that kind of stuff is fantastic on the BlackBerry. So I don't want you going away from this first update thinking the BlackBerry's awful. It just needs more developers to get on board and to build apps that are fantastic, because the platform's there. Everyone's going to love using it because it's so nice. It just needs some great games and some great apps to be on there, and I think it really has a chance. But I mean, this is just from me using it for a few days as my only device. I will keep you updated as I go. Obviously I've got a long way to go yet in this challenge. I'll update you as I get more. If the App Store suddenly gets good next week or the week after, I'll give you some feedback on that. But for now, I'm on Twitter, I'm at TIP_Cam. You can ask me any questions you like on there. And that'll be it from now. That'll be it for now. I will see you again soon.